Hi guys, welcome back to Gardening with Creations by DX & Co. Today I just want to shoot a quick video. You can see my greenhouse in the background there. I actually was at my parents' house in Tennessee last weekend and they gave me a brand new 6x8 Harbor Freight greenhouse that they had. They had one of their own. They lost some panels on it through a tornado a few years back, so they bought another one just for the panels. So I actually have a brand new frame, only missing a couple of panels. I don't know which ones, we're going to find out. And then, but I've got some glass pieces I can either put in it or the one behind me and move those panels over. So instead of moving that one, I'm going to actually put this new one up instead. And I'm going to show you guys a step-by-step guide on how I'm doing it. And so let's get started. So this wood frame, not this is kind of just like an outer cap I did for looks, but this one here is actually screwed into this frame. So that's what you use for the base, and that helps secure it, makes it heavier for storms, so on and so forth. So I need to measure out this front piece. Looks like I did that as an outside piece, you can tell by the screws. And then the side piece would be an inside piece. So I need to measure out exactly the two outside pieces, the two inside pieces, and cut those to length on some more 2x6s. That's what's on there right now, some 2x6s. And then, like I said, there's some 2x4s on there as the outside kind of framing it, just decorative, if you will. And so let me measure that and I'll let you guys know. Okay, so I'm around the side of the greenhouse. And this board, as I said, I have it as an inside piece of the square, and this one is 95 1/4 for that piece there. So 95 1/4, and then these pieces here are 74 1/2. So as I mentioned, it is a Harbor Freight 6 by 8.5 by 6'3", 6.5 tall. I will be putting it on a 2x6 board, so an extra 5.5 inches high, and I'll show you exactly what the measurements I'm using for that. So this is the exact same one as the one I have. First thing you want to do is prep your area that you're putting it in. So I've gone ahead and mowed this grass down to on low, and then I'm actually going to be putting that blue tarp over there out. I'm going to spread it out so you can, okay, from here you can see the tarp is laid out. That's going to be the placement there. Now I've got some extra of those boards right there. We will get those measured and cut. Alright you guys, so I just wanted to show you before I screw it all together. I've got my boards cut. These are out of those recycled deck boards that I got, that I ended up doing some of the raised beds with, not finished with. But so just what I did, these front and back boards, 74 1/2. Two side boards, 95 1/4. This is inches, so this is American measurements, guys. I apologize if you're overseas. You'll have to throw that into a conversion calculator because I don't know it off the top of my head. Use some 2.5 inch outside all-weather deck screws, and I'm going to pop them in front, back, and the sides. Okay, so as I'm filling, I realize I haven't shown off my shirt yet. This is my new favorite shirt. It says "Be Kind." I don't know if it's picking up on camera. And this bee is something that my son drew. It's part of our new line. I'm so excited about this shirt. Super comfortable. This is the men's large t-shirt, and came out really nice. It's creationsbydx.com if you want to check it out. It says "Be Kind" right on it. It's one of the coolest shirts, and my son designed it, so a lot of fun. Okay, I got the frame screwed together. I know it's really hard to see on this camera angle here, but this thing is on a nasty slope, so I'm still deciding, and I may even decide as I'm building it up if I want to kind of make a level deck here or not. But I wanted to show you guys. So the front pieces are screwed through the front. Notice the joint is on the side here. So based on those measurements that I gave you, the front pieces and the front and back need to be screwed into the side of the sideboards. You don't want to put this outside board, this one on the outside, because then your measurements will be too short. So if you're going to do something like that, you need to add the 1.5 inches on each side, because I'm using, again, these are 2x6 boards. So it actually comes out to 1.5 inches wide by about 5.5 inches. That's just how boards work. But it's a 2x6. So the next step is to get the box open here and find the bottom plates for that we screw on top of this. So we are on our way to starting to build our greenhouse. This is the exciting part. So as you open up your box, you should see something that looks like this. These are your panels. These panels are actually labeled, which is fantastic. Now again, this box has been opened before and some of the panels removed, but all because this was purchased just for the panels to replace some of the panels on the same exact greenhouse. Mine is going to be missing a few pieces as we go along. That's okay. But what I'm trying to get to is the actual frame. So I'm going to have to dig this out, get to this frame pieces down here. Yep, there they are. So you should have another box inside there that actually has the frame inside of it, and the frame is brand new. So I should have all the pieces there, and I'm sure the instructions are around here somewhere as well. So we're going to get that frame pulled out and get going, but I just wanted to show you guys kind of what it looks like, what you're getting when you open that box. So I pulled out the instructions here as I was pulling out the frame, and you can see here's the foundation. It says it wants an overall finish of 98.5. Now remember, we did 94.25, but we also had 3 inches, so roughly it would be just shy of 98. And then they want 75. Now this is on a 4-inch wide base. Ours is only 1.5 inches wide. So this is definitely a great design when you're looking at this. See, it's got anchor locations. And then it shows you right here how to put, this is assuming that you're going to do like a 4x4 post laid flat in the ground. That's what this is. That's what this design is, if you're going to follow that design. And then the floor plate that we're talking about, it goes on there, and then this is the rear side and the front side, so on and so forth. Now, the only reason I'm going off the measurements that I went off of is because I've already done this before, and it worked out perfectly with the smaller plates. Now, I'm not doing a 4x4. Remember, I'm doing 1.5 inches. So that may be why I've got different methods. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so notice how this says front floor plate 17, okay? That 17 in parentheses is the part that you're looking for. It's really hard to see, and I'll try to get it in focus here, but there's a little 17 right there located on this plate. So that's how we know this is the piece they're talking about. But when you get it, it's really unclear because you're just filtering through all of these different pieces, and what you think might be a floor plate like this, you know, something like that, is really, it's not. And so you're trying to look through these pieces. Here's another example. That one says 19. I know it's upside down, but that's what you're looking for when you're looking for those numbers. It's kind of like engraved, if you will, on it, but then you have random ones that have a sticker. So you kind of just gotta be careful when you're going through it. These are very sharp as well. I recommend gloves, but I just want to give you an example. So we're gonna take this floor plate 17 here part, so it lays out flat where this track is here, and then the screws actually face towards the inside of your greenhouse. So there's no actual screw holes in this to mount it to this wood. You actually have to use a metal tapping or a metal screw, or drill it, pre-drill it with a drill, and then you can use a regular screw to screw these down. So, and for reference, these sides here, they're stuck together in the box. It's 34 is the number on that one, and this back one is 16. So that's the number on that one. It has a little lip on it, slides over the back. So they don't actually connect together, but you kind of line them up as a corner like this, because when you actually, if I remember correctly, again, we'll go through each step, but I believe you'll mount them, you're mounting a piece here and it screws in on both sides, kind of like when you stand it up. So we'll do that in another shot. It might not be tonight, unfortunately, as I do have, the sun is actually setting quite a bit, so I probably won't get to it tonight. But I'm going to get all these screwed into place, so that way this is good to go. So, gotta love it. This is the exciting part, getting started. And soon, where I'm standing right now, will be inside of my new greenhouse. And if you guys aren't excited about that, you should probably stop this video now. Okay, so if I had to do this over again, and I'll put these measurements at the beginning of the video, I would go see how I had to bump this one out, because I'm certain of this. I don't remember that, but you can see that gap right there. I would say is about the extra ½ inch. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly here. Oh, it is 3/4. So you could go the extra 3/4 of an inch. So instead of cutting this sideboard at 95 1/4, you could go 96 even, so 8 foot even on that, and that should flush this up and allow this to go back and this lips it. Honestly, I'd probably only go to ½ inch just to be safe. Let's double check up here. Yeah, I wouldn't go 3/4, I'd go a ½ inch. So I wouldn't go more than the 95 3/4 would be my tops that I would go out. Now this is sitting nice and firm. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't need to redo this or anything. Now notice I pre-drilled using, this is a 1/8 inch drill bit, in case anybody's wondering. And then I popped in all of these screws, and I only did both the sides. I'll come back and do the middle. I'll probably do at least 2 more to secure up the middle to keep this from being floppy. But the only reason I did that, in case when I start building it, I need to shift anything around, I can easily move this, drill another pre-drill hole, so on and so forth. So we're on to the next step, and then I can always come back and, like I said, and re-secure this mount. But just want to give you that tidbit. I might go a little longer on these outside boards. I probably thought of that, but I built another one 4 years ago. So I'll make sure that's in the beginning of this video. So that way I'll add it in as text so you guys know for the measurements. Okay, so you can see it jumps right from secure the base to, all right, go ahead and start building the frame and get it all up. It really doesn't give you some detailed instructions. It says there are 4 corner studs attached to each of your plates. Yeah, okay, get that. And then you're putting in these long side trusses. You're putting in your, your top frame and your top. It just gets, and then you got piecing this stuff together. So this is why I wanted to do a video, guys, because this part gets very confusing for a lot of people, and the windows and doors are especially. So I just wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit of what I'm doing. Again, I don't think I'm going to get to it tonight, but that's what builds on top of that. So there we go. So once you identify piece number 1, which is kind of hard to find in there, it's you're digging through all the pieces trying to find it. It does have a 1 on here somewhere, but it is easiest if you look for a piece that looks like this. So it's got 4 sides, and then what you're looking to do is, the reason we line these up, corner to corner like that, was because you're going to run your screw through here and your nut through there using these bags. Bag number 52 with your nuts, and bag number 43 has all your screws in it. So you can see how one hole lines up perfectly, the screw goes through there. The other hole lines up perfectly on this side, the screw goes through there. Now this isn't tightened down, but now this piece is in place. This is post number 1, and we got 1, 2, 3 more to go. Once all those are in place, then you can start building your side frames and your roof, and it just starts to go smoother and smoother from there. But that's step number 1, is getting those identified and getting them on there. So it is getting late, but I'm going to keep going for now. Okay, so we've got all 4 sides identified and up, and while I was doing that, I noticed that these angled roof ones, number 2, 3, 4, and 5, you can see they have a slant on the angle, look almost identical except for that slant to that one. So it got a little confusing, but it also helped me identify those 4 really quick. And as I told you, I ended up having to back out this screw right here just because this board's a little messed up to get this to fit together, and then I was able to screw it back in. So that's why I said just do the corners for right now and then come back and do the middle, so that way, you know, when you're working on stuff like that, you don't have to work that hard to secure it up. So 4 corners are done. On to the next step, which I think what I'll do here is identify 36 and 21. So you just do the backs and the sides to kind of frame that up. But I think when you're doing this 5, that's the top piece. Yeah, 36 and 1, you have to actually use this metal frame right there, which is this piece. So when you're putting 36, and I believe that goes on the inside, so I have to look at that, and I'll show you guys as soon as I get it in. Okay, so this is number 36, and you can see this piece of 36 actually mounts on the inside, because that's what this little notch here is. I know it's getting dark out here, hard to see. And then this track right here actually is the gutter, so it's very important. This is the gutter, so make sure this piece is facing up with this slant going out like that. Then this mounts on the inside like that. Put your screw with your nut on the other side. And then 13 is going to end up mounting in here like this on that hole, because it's going to end up mounting to another piece. I'm not going to screw this in just yet because I'm not sure about the other piece, the diagonal piece, just yet. But that's how that one will mount. So, and it'll be the same in all 4 corners. So like this corner again, this piece is on the, let's see if we can get it in focus yet, on the inside. And then again, this will mount on the angle, line up that hole there, and that'll help support your roof pieces going on. So I'm gonna get the other piece, long piece going there, piece across the back that'll help brace this in case I get any wind, and I'll probably call it a night, guys. Okay, I know it's really dark out here, but this is an important step and I want to make sure you guys see it. So this is 21, the back piece, and notice how it's got this kind of lip sticking out here. Well, you obviously can't mount this the way you need to with that lip, so you actually have to put this piece behind this and mount this all at the same time. So that's why I wanted to show you guys. So I was about to mount this and I was like, oh yeah, I remember having to take this whole thing apart to mount this piece on there before. So just want to give you guys a quick tip before you mount this back piece. Go ahead and do that. All right, good morning, y'all. Next morning here. I did not get very far. Obviously, it was dark last night, as you could see. I apologize about the lighting in those shots, but so we've got our, this is the front. You've got our side rails up, and then we've got, this is the side support beam. And so here's what I was talking about last night. You couldn't see it. This is the back piece 22. Let me confirm that it's 22 because I'm looking at it. 21. Sorry, excuse me. This is the back piece 21, and the plate 13. See how you had to put that plate in first, run the screw through it, and then you mount that in there, so that way when you put this upper support on, it'll be on there properly. So I've got to get some things tightened up this morning, and then these holes here will support another one of those on both sides. But I wanted to show you guys the progress thus far, show you how it's starting to progress and how yours should look at the up to this point if you're following along with me. And we're going to keep going. I've got some other plans today that I probably won't finish this video up today or this greenhouse up today, but we'll make some progress as much as we can. So I got to identify those next support beams. I already have the middle truss, if you will, that goes in the middle. I know where that one's at. I just have to identify these side supports, which I believe I already showed you guys. Airplane. And get those put on, get those mounted. And I've got to find, there's a tool that comes with this, I believe, for tightening these nuts and bolts. So I got to find that. May not be in the box. Like I said, this was a used box. So if not, I'll find my old one. So I think it has a yellow handle if I remember correctly. Alright, so as we talked about, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then 35. And then, like we said, we have to put 13 on the front of each of those, I believe, while we're mounting 2 and 3, obviously. I was wrong about the yellow tool. I believe that what I'm talking about is the to put the clips in. So I realized I may not have any clips in this set, so that's another story when we get further on. There are some wrenches in bag 40, it looks like. These are the 2 wrenches that it gives you, so I'm going to get those opened up, get everything tightened up, and then I'm going to start mounting the additional brackets over here. So stay tuned. Okay, so apologize guys, I thought the camera was recording, but either way, let me show you what we got done so far. We've got these trusses on. You can see that I mounted 13 through the back into this hole. I haven't done this hole yet because I can always come back and do that later. And then it goes, this piece goes over the top and behind plate 13. So this piece goes on the top. See, number 5 is actually identified by the mounting holes. It took me a little while to find the identification on these ones. Number 4 you can't see here in the same spot. It's actually in between these 2 mounting holes. So look towards the bottom of these rails. That's how you'll help identify those numbers. It took me an extra minute. Just kind of a pro tip on these front ones here. Mount this on this piece on here first before you try to mount this one. Otherwise this thing's just gonna bend and fall over if you don't have a second pair of hands. So mount 13 onto this piece first right here, and then you can come in and mount this on there. Don't tighten this piece down because I'm gonna get this last piece mounted, and then our center piece will go right there. And this is where it really would come in handy to have a second pair of hands if you have it. At the moment my wife's inside working, so I don't have that second pair of hands. So okay, so got the frame up, and a couple of quick things I want to point out. So this piece of the frame, the top frame, goes underneath, and then you can see sun's a little blinding here, but you can see this lip sits over top of this piece and it goes underneath, and then your screw goes through in your nut. So that'll keep it. Now there's a little bit of gap in here. That's because this piece over here needs to be straightened up. Now if I had a perfectly level ground like you guys should, then this would make it a whole lot easier. But again, you can see in the back, once you get that piece kind of, see if I can get some of the sun glare, there you go. That lip goes underneath there, and that really creates the channel tracks. This channel track right here, yeah, it's already a hot morning out, and turns out my camera keeps overheating, and that's why it keeps stopping the video. Good to know. So anyways, just this channel track here to create this lip, get it all tightened in, and there you have it. So I got to tighten up these bolts really quick here. Tighten up these 4 bolts. I'm gonna get this straightened out and sucked in. I just have to do that by fixing 13 and so on and so forth. So that'll get taken care of. And then we'll move on to the next steps, which I believe is adding all of these center supports. So let's take a look. So I want you to add 8, which is the rear center supports, which we can do next. So that supports all the way up to the back of the roof there, all the way down through 21 and to the bottom rail. There's some screws. Okay, sorry about the start and stop, guys. I shut my camera off for a while. Hopefully it's done overheating here. So you can see this is piece number 9, piece number 8. Number 9 looks like a 6, so be careful, but it's pretty easy to identify because it's got kind of a slant that kind of matches the slope here, and then it forms a T, if you will, with everything. So I wanted to show you how this is mounted. So you slide the bolts in through this channel, right? So you slide a bolt in there, and then I would say start with this hole. Okay, slide it all the way down the channel. Start with this hole. Kind of gives you something to start with, balance while you're trying to get the top one and the bottom one in. So you have to have three bolts in the channel, and then they go in from the outside. So make sure you got it facing the right way. Obviously this particular lip needs to be on the inside too, if you've mounted that in the first place, right? And which you wouldn't be able to mount it any other way if you put 13 on there properly. So that's how that looks, guys, and I just wanted to show you. All right, let's move on to the next piece. Okay, so as you can see, the next step is actually 10, which is all those support pieces that mount into these screw holes and go here. So we mount each of those in, and then 22 is our cross braces that you can see there. So we'll mount 10s in all around first. Looks like there's 3 per side, and then we'll mount in 22, and then we'll move on to 11, which is our top frame centerpieces. So we're just closing out the frame. So I'm gonna get started on that. Okay, so I've had a lot of detours today, family stuff. I had to go pick up some giant pots, and some soil and stuff. So haven't gotten very far here, but I wanted to show you, I got most of the support beams number 10 in. You can see I didn't lock these into place yet. It's very loose, and that's on purpose because 22, which is the side cross beams, I do believe you actually need to slide another screw for the middle, which I need to take a look at. See, this is where they don't show you in these instructions. So it goes here, right, and then the middle screw gets put in there, so that's kind of a pain. So I gotta put another screw through this, and that's why I remembered that, so I knew I didn't lock any of these things in, so I could get those pieces in. I got one more cross beam, number 10, but again, they go exactly like I showed you for the outside ones. Slide the screws in the thread, this piece goes towards the outside. They're both on the outside, All right, so pretty straightforward, but guys, this is exciting. It's coming together, shaping to be a greenhouse. Okay, so here's an example of what I was talking about. Cross brace number 22. You start in this hole, first hole in between the front and the first post, and then you need to slide a screw down to the middle in this frame here and screw it in there, and then you put one last one down there. Now it's very confusing, this lip that's on it, like whether or not that goes facing up or it goes facing down. I just did it so it's up, like facing towards the top, and that seemed to fit in there just fine down at the bottom. And so I need to put the middle brace in here and then move on to the next one. Okay, so there's one side done. You can see first brace for number 22 goes across 10 like that with the screw in the middle. Middle brace has nothing, just a standard support, and then the last brace goes on the diagonal going the opposite direction, again screw in the middle. So if you are working on those outside posts, first thing I would do is make sure you have 3 screws, one for the bottom, one for the top, and one for that additional brace in the middle. So add a loose screw in there, it'll save you time from having to unscrew the top. So I just need to go actually grab the other 2 cross braces, number 22s, and get those installed on this side, and then we'll be able to put in 11, which is our roof panels. Okay, so I'm installing the roof trusses, or number 11, as you can see there. Now, note on the instructions here, you'll see that there's an asterisk next to this one. So this is the front, so this will be the left-hand side truss. There's an asterisk here, and then the opposite is the back one and the middle one. So the middle one and the front one, the middle one and the back one. Now the reason there's an asterisk there is it's trying to remind you, add an extra screw, because you're going to be adding these 15, it's a crossbar. That's to support your windows. So that screw is for that extra crossbar. So save yourself the headache, install that screw now while you're putting, it's the same concept as the other ones we've been doing. So for now, you know, same concept, you know, just the T-bar, slide the screw in, and then so you're putting that extra screw in that's loose. I put the nut on it temporarily, it's not necessary, but I just did that so it was there when I needed it. So that's it. I'm gonna keep going. There's 6 in total. Okay, so we have officially got the roof rails on, we've got our side rails on, we've got our support rail on there. You can see, as I mentioned, this first one does not have the extra screw, second one has the extra screw, third one has the extra screw, so that'll slide down, don't worry. And then there'll be a cross brace that goes here, which is what supports your window. And then you don't want them directly opposite of each other, so you have this one here and then this one here. Sorry about the sun glare. It'll be nice for the greenhouse, not so nice for video taping. So, and note that I'm standing up perfectly in the center, dead center, with the 2x6 under there. I'm 6 foot tall and I don't hit my head, so it's lovely. Okay, so you want to get the cross braces. 15 is the number on them. You'll find it right in between the 2 little screw holes. Wow, the focus is not happening today. I apologize. So, guys, I'm sorry about the focus right now. There you go. So there's the 15 screw hole. Now you'll notice that this particular one has a notch, alright? So the notches go over top there, and then pretty simple, line up the screw hole there. Don't tighten these screws down because you don't know where this goes yet. You got to get the windows and stuff in place, and then you're going to slide this down. So just install it, but don't tighten them down. So, alright, and do both sides. And then now we move on to actually building the front of the greenhouse, which is going to be installing the doors. There's a lot that goes on here. You can see we're going to be building this up over this top piece here, but the first step we do is actually going to be 6 and 7, these 2 studs, and we're going to have to install our cross braces, this piece, and our other cross braces. So 23, 25, 6, 7. I believe 6 and 7, that same screw hole is for 25. So we have to keep that in mind. 25 also goes up to, I believe, where 13 was. So that's important too. And you'll note that we left 13 loose on purpose there because of that. So let's get that done. Let me go grab, I'm going to start by grabbing 6, 7, and 25 on both sides. Note on both 6 and 7, you're going to find this little notch here. This notch actually is going to orient to the top because it's going to kind of go with the slant here. Okay, so we've got this support beam installed, and note that I went on the lower of the 2 holes here. Now I didn't tighten this down, I left it loose because there's on this front panel there's a lot of intertwining parts. So keep everything loose, don't tighten them down, but just kind of get them in place. Note that the bottom screw does need to go through the brace as well for 25, so make sure that you kind of put this one on together. 25, and I think this is 6. No, this one's 7, I apologize. So 25, 7, and you put the bolt through both of them, and then don't tighten it again. I think that one can be tightened, it's the only one that goes on there. And then up here on 13, you're actually going through the faceplate, but there's no hole. You're going to pull the faceplate out, stick the screw in, and then I think there's actually one more, the cross brace that actually goes to here that needs to go in. So again, don't tighten this in yet because you got to put that cross brace in there too. And then you have that top hole as well you have to fill in at one point, but again, I haven't tightened any of this down because we got to go on to the next steps first. So I'm going to go ahead and get the next beam in the same way I did this one, 25, and this one will be 6, and I'll get 25 in, and then we'll move on to that cross brace, and then we'll start building the frame for the door. Okay, so this cross brace number 23, you can see it actually goes in the second, so the top hole that we never put anything in. So it's actually got a thread from the outside through that, through 13, through this part. So it takes a lot of finesse, a lot of wiggling to get it right, get it through there. What I found is once you start threading this nut and you start tightening it, it will kind of thread through and start to tighten okay. Okay, we are moving on to the next steps. We've got the cross braces in, but I wanted to take a step back and just show you. Look at that, looks awesome. The frame is up. I've broken this up now, but I mean it's taken, I don't know, to get the wood base in and the frame this far, really maybe a total of 4 or 5 hours, and that's probably pushing it because I'm filming, right? So let's look at the next step. So you can see the outline of the door, the braces are in, and now it looks like we need to do, so it's saying 38, 39, so this is the behind, so 19 goes behind that way, so we got to get 19 in there, 14, 12 goes partially behind 14, and then 6 is here, so that goes in the screw hole above 6 over to, looks like over to the screw hole above 7, so let's get that piece in. That's number 12. Alright, so I've got piece number 12 here. Note the slants on that. Now you're going to have it, it's kind of like a little shelf. The shelf faces outward like this. I'm going to try to get in there, so resting on there. So shelf faces outward like that, because what's going to happen is piece number 14 here, it's like a track. That's actually what the door slides in. It's going to mount to the front side of that just like this, so that way, so you're creating the mounting for that piece. So let's get that installed. I'm going to install both of those really quick. Okay, so we got 12 installed, but we can't actually install 14 until we install 19. So 19 here, actually this little pop out tells you that you need 38, which is a long bolt, It's not actually labeled, but I believe this one's 38. You can see it's a long bolt because normal, the shorter bolts won't go through there, because you need a spacer, which is actually number 39, the spacer, and then that goes in behind that, and 19 goes in front. So 19 spacer, 38 runs through and attaches right on the outside here, which is on frame number 3, which is the long bar. So we're going to get 19 installed, and then we can install 14. So you can see 19 is kind of this little L channel bracket. So the L facing forward, got that bolt that we discussed right there, and you can see the spacer then goes, and then it goes right through the last hole there with the nut on the back. So now that'll allow 14 to screw in here, right? So it'll screw into that hole. Wow, the autofocus is bad. Sorry guys, I had to reset my camera today, so with it overheating. So apologize about the autofocus going on there. But yep, so you're gonna mount it that hole and that hole. So let's get 14 on and I'll show you what that looks like, guys. Okay, so with 19, you know, you've got nut in the back, you've got your spacer right there, and then you've got the actual L piece. You can see I have the L facing inside. Not 100% sure that matters. Now with 14 actually is it has holes on the bottom, but you're not going to use those holes just yet. You're actually going to use the track on the back. Trying to get it to focus here, guys. I apologize. See if I can get it to focus on the foreground here. Terrible. Let me step back here, show you on a different angle. Maybe that'll... Yeah, so we've got the track in the back itself here, which is just like all the other pieces we've been installing. You want to slide the bolt in through the track and then mount it to 12 and then to 19. And then there's one more hole here that I've got to get my last screw in really quick, that you bolted in there. So all 3 spots right there. And again, you do it in the track in the back there. You don't do it through the holes on the bottom of 14, because then your orientation would be off and it wouldn't line up. So you'll notice when the front of 14, when it's done, has this kind of lip overhang. That's the track that the door slides in here. So okay, so we have got our door frame built, all of our cross pieces in, supporting pieces. So we're essentially done with the outside frame of the greenhouse. Woo woo. So now the next page here, we're moving on to actually building the door. So we've got to get the door frame assembled. We've got to get the outside pieces, which is side 20, right? And then we've got 24 looks like our uppers, 26 looks like our mid, and then you can see we've got to put in our black rubber pieces, which actually sit on the rail here. Let me show you. Actually sit on this outside rail, and that's what slides back and forth. A lot of times it falls off the track and you have to put it back on. Kind of annoying, but if you know that, then it's easy to fix actually. So, and then we actually have to screw them into each other, lock them in, screw them in. It's kind of a pain here, so I'm going to try to record it as I'm going and show you, but I do remember the door being kind of a pain. So let's try to get started on that. Okay, so it's starting to come back to me, a little complicated, but so this particular piece, so this is number 20, the left side. Now the rubber seal that's on there, you're going to face towards the ground. You're going to have the lip facing towards the inside. You're going to grab piece number 26, which is a middle crossbar, have the rounded edge facing up towards you. Get your bag of 44 screws. They are Phillips, so you'll need a Phillips screwdriver, or a screw gun is what I'm using. And you're going to screw them in. There's little holes in these channels, see, that you're screwing into. So you want the screws to go into that screw hole right there. So I believe the next step is to do the next 26. Yep, mount it up there as your secondary middle piece there, and then you do the top and the bottom, and then you put on your other side, which is number 28, I believe. Yes, number 28. And so you'll mount that on the opposite side here. So I'll show you as I keep going. Okay, we've got our two middle supports attached to both sides. 28 on the right, number 20 on the right, left, 26, 26, and then our top piece is 24, again rounded part up towards the front, or towards the top, and then screw it in on all sides. And then we need to grab number 40, which is going to be the black rubber piece. You can see here it's what the rail that sits on that I mentioned earlier. And then we need number 27 is our bottom plate. So we got to grab that, and we're going to screw in 27 into 28. And again, it looks like rounded part towards the front, right? And then we're going to put our rubber piece in there as well first before we screw it in. So, and I believe that's done on both sides. I'll double check. So this is something pretty cool that my original one didn't have. You see this bottom black piece I just slid in there? It has a hook. Well, that hook goes on the outside of the frame, which is 17. So you can see it there. See, 17 is our actual frame, right? So you want to make sure that hook is facing so that in the right direction. And also, get it to focus again here, that top of this black piece is where our screw goes into. So it goes through the side and then it screws into there. So you want to make sure that hook is facing towards the inside of the greenhouse, again towards the back of the door, not the front of the door, so that you can hook it on to the outside of 17. So that's pretty cool. My original greenhouse did not have that hook, so put a black piece like this on each of the sides. It's bag number 40, and then we'll screw it in. Alright, so one last step we need to do. This is part number 31. You'll notice it looks a lot like that bottom 27 that we just put in. It has rollers on it. Now this is going to roll across the top of the door. So this actually mounts to the very top piece, number 24. And we use the regular nuts and bolts to mount that up. So I'm going to put that up there. Remember that those rollers face towards the back of the door because it's actually what rolls there. So let's get that mounted. Okay, so the next step is to actually mount the door. So what you're going to do is get that black piece on the bottom to lock in, right? And that black piece there, once you get it the front locked in, and then there's a tiny, like it's almost like a V you got to get it to rest on, and you kind of slide it slowly onto this track at the top. You can see the wheels that you put on there. You want that wheel to roll across this front lip. So you're gonna slide it over, put the one piece on here, slide it over, get it on there, keep sliding, get the second piece on that lip, and you slide it past these rubber seals. Actually are what, you know, kind of keep the air blocked when the door's closed. They're not perfect, but they do a pretty nice job. So this part is actually installing the windows, believe it or not. So we have to actually build the windows next, which is the windowsill frame is 33, and we got to find that 33 and 30, it looks like. We start building out the windows, and then we're going to start doing panels. Getting there, guys. Getting there. Alright, cool. So, top rail 33. Right there is labeled. And you're going to put the rail 30 on top of 33, like this. And then make sure that the screw goes facing towards the bottom of the window. This is the top of the window. So this weird step ladder looking piece is the top of the window, and make sure that's facing up. Make sure everything's facing up. The bottom piece looks a lot like the cross brace we put in for the windows above. Now this piece doesn't go on yet. This is our first panel we put in. So we have our two sides installed, and then we need the panel windows 5A. Look for the ones labeled 5A. You peel the film off of here. See if I can do it on camera, probably not. Peel the outside film on both sides. There should be one. See, there we go. Whoop, I just hit the camera with it. And then you slide it in. So let's see if we can do that here. Not sure I can position the camera, guys. I apologize. Let's see if we can make this happen. Put the film off that side. It's already started for me on this side. I know, that's the hardest part. So then we're going to slide it into the track. The track is actually in the middle of this. So you don't go all the way to the bottom. You go in the middle, slide it all the way up both sides. Sure I'm not getting any of this on camera. So since the sides are still floppy, it's not too hard to do. Actually turn this up like this, so when I get it in the grooves of the top piece. And in the grooves for each side. So once you got it in, all the way around, sides and top, which I haven't had, then you just slide the bottom track on and screw it in. So let me actually finish that up and I'll show you. Okay, correction. I couldn't get the grooves to line up here. It was driving me nuts. I realized actually the 30 piece actually has to go under 33, not over top of. So this piece goes underneath, screw goes through them both, and that lines the grooves up. Made it a whole lot simpler to slide this in. So then we get our piece here, which should go on top of there. So we just got to get the screws in there really quick and then slide this on, because that way this will slide into them. So let me get that done. Okay, so there we go. Finished window almost. You see these screws at the bottom. That is where the bracket goes. So we need to actually go grab the bracket. It is number looks like 51, and we need to use screws in bag number 45. So we mount that. That's for the actual latch to keep the window open. So we need to get that and get it attached to there really quick. That's the top of the window. We've got our sides. We've got the window nice and securely in there. That's our first panel going on the greenhouse, guys. I'm gonna go grab the window brace and get that screwed on. Pretty straightforward. Screw there, and now your bar is attached. So you've got all of these holes in there, which you can't really see. They're actually need to be cut out. So that is attached. Here's the other one for the other window. And now you actually have to put this piece into the roof. So you actually put this panel, let's go out here, I'm gonna go through the wall here, into that top piece of the roof. It actually goes into the lower track, and you actually slot in this top piece here. It's the outside of the window into that track. Now obviously we know this brace that we put in earlier is too high, so let me get that in and I'll show you a close-up on what it is that I'm talking about on how I get it in there. Okay, So it takes a little bit of finesse. Let me zoom in a little bit closer here. It is this very top track here. Man, I hate how blurry the camera has been for you guys. I am sorry. So this very top track here, right? That's where it locks into. You put it up on an angle and then tuck it in there. It's going to feel really weird. It's going to feel like it's breaking. Careful, it will lock into place. And then you fit it right in between the two bars that you had initially installed this piece on. And then now, remember we said we were leaving these loose. So we'll slide this down, get the screws down, and this goes underneath it. This is our support piece. It's actually upside down. I need to flip it over actually. So this will rest right on this bar, and then these screw holes here will be the actual bracket that this locks into to hold your window open when it's propped open. So let's get that fixed. All right, next morning, as I said, we got, well, it's the afternoon now, but we got the windows in. So let me give you a close-up on that. So I found the best way to get the windows in, you gotta slide them in at the top. So it's actually best if you go through, you know, the front or the back channel there and just kind of slide the T at the very top of the window pane through, and then you can kind of slide it all the way over and then rest it into place. And you're gonna move this lower bar into place, tighten it down, and then you've got your windows. They open from the inside, but obviously we're on the outside. So now the next step here is start putting in our panels. And so we start identifying which panels are which and getting them in place, and we need to have our clips ready. Unfortunately, I don't happen to know if I have any, so I have to look into that. Like I said, I got this greenhouse secondhand from my parents. They bought it as a replacement, so they might have taken for a few panels. That's all they were using it for, and so they might have taken the actual panel clips to utilize and never put them back in the box. So they do make screws that actually have rubber grommets on them, which would allow me to put these in here and just screw them in with the rubber grommets, which will keep it watertight. So we may go that route if I don't have the clips. So let me start looking into what's next. Okay, so the next step was to get panel 7A put in, and then there's a safety sticker that you can put on here, warning sticker. I don't think I have it, and it's definitely not on my outside of my other one, but if you guys have it, you want to put it on there. I think it just says, you know, caution, greenhouse is hot or something like that. But so there is this little groove track in here right there that you can get it in. I was able to pop it in there and slowly kind of feather it in at the top to get it in place. There's a track on the top, and that worst come to worst, you could ultimately take this off, slide them in, put it back on, so if you wanted to. So that's 7A. The next step is to start identifying the windows for looks like 2A and 4A. These are your roof panels. So you know, we got to go through the box, kind of find those. So I believe your 2As are these smaller ones, and then your 4As I think are the larger ones. Now they need to actually get put in at the top first and slid into there, and then they also have you know, this lower groove that they rest on, and then the clips all go in here to hold them in place. And I can show you the clips on the other greenhouse so you guys see the way they go in. I don't have any. I just looked through the box. I didn't get the clips, unfortunately, which is okay. So I'll show the other method on how I'm screwing them in, and show you what screws I'm going to be using. Okay, so I'm on the boys' treehouse. We got this plastic top, if you will, rooftop that we did on there. And you can see the screws that we used right here are just kind of like a nut type screw. There's an actual rubber washer, a rubber grommet on here that's actually keeping water from leaking down into the wood. So it's a special type of screw that you can use on those greenhouse panels that has a rubber grommet on there. See if I can have one that actually has the full-on rubber grommet on there still. It's kind of hard to see. The rubber grommet looks like it's turned color because this is aged a little bit. But so that's what those screws look like. So I didn't notice it till now, but look at the size of this panel right here, right? It's different than the one in the back. So these greenhouse doors are actually two different styles. So I thought that was interesting. It looked a little different. It's the same concept, just, you know, they changed up a few different pieces. I told you that rubber piece on the bottom is definitely different. It doesn't have that L clip, if you will, holding it on there, right? So it just sits on the track like that. But this has been a great little door. When it's on the track, it slides very nicely, you know. So anyways, wanted to show you how these clips work. So you've got the two metal prongs. See if I can actually get one out. Yep, there we go. So you've got these, your clips look something like this, where you've got these two little metal prongs basically. This is actually the piece that holds the panel. So what you want to do is, I found the easiest method is when you're setting it in there, you just kind of stick it both sides in first. You kind of, sorry, don't do that. So stick one side in, get your these little notches on the back of the clip on the outside of your panel, because your panel doesn't go all the way across, which is okay. So then you've got your clips kind of positioned like this, and then you can take this last side and just kind of push it up. It's springy, if you will, and then you can see your clip is actually sitting flush against the panel. It is behind the sides here all the way up, and it's underneath this little lip, so it's holding it in place. And I've not had, with wind, we've had some high gust winds. I mean, we're not in a, you know, heavy wind area. I found the larger panels, I did at least 4 clips, and all the smaller panels I did 2 clips. You know, the roof panels I didn't feel needed as much, but you can see they've got 3 up the top, you know, so I could actually probably take some of these extras off of this one and go put them on there, but you know, I don't think that's necessary. Okay, so as you can see, the greenhouse is together. I am actually missing this one panel. Is the only panel I was missing. I was going to videotape putting each panel in. Unfortunately, none of the panels were labeled, so I had to do it all by measurement. I measured each panel and then measured that, which, you know, went very fast once you knew which one. So you can see some of the panels are actually damaged here, you know, and that's why I got this like this. You know, I've got a few damaged panels, but they still function perfectly fine, so I have no problem with that. And you can see I went with the clips. Now the reason for that is the smallest screw I could find was a 1/2 inch for the screw with the grommet hole. So what would happen is, this is a 1/4 inch thick mill plastic, so like that's a 1/4 inch thick. If I drilled through the metal, then I'd have screws sticking out on the inside, which would probably be fine. I just didn't want it. And so I borrowed these clips for the time being from my other greenhouse, because I know the wind's not gonna take all these panels off for both greenhouses while I'm waiting from Amazon. Link in the description below, not an affiliate link whatsoever, but it is the link. $12 for 100 of these clips. So if you're looking just to reinforce your panels, $12 for 100 of these clips on Amazon, not a bad gig. So that's what I'm gonna do. Now the missing panel, I do have some glass pieces that I could put in here, just put a glass piece in, but I've already decided that I'm gonna actually put that one in front of this one. So I'm actually gonna end up taking this whole front piece off anyways, so I can attach the back of that greenhouse. So it won't matter that I'm missing that panel, but you know, for you guys, you would have that panel, so no big deal. A couple of things that I came across while I was putting the panels in that I forgot to mention, so let me show you that in particular. So for starters, and I'll put this in the text, you guys should have seen this already, is that don't put this piece on and the door on until you've slid 9A, this one, which I already told you, and 9A in there in particular. Okay, so slide those in, put it all together, then screw everything in, because I actually ended up having to redo it here as far as that's concerned. The other thing is, before putting your panels on, you know, we talked about not putting this screw in, so obviously put that screw in before putting your panels on. I left that empty just so I could show you what I was talking about. This is the panel that's missing. Other than that, you know, I got to install my hardware still on the window. No big deal. That can be done with everything secured. I had these sitting in the garage and I'm trying to clean the garage, so I wanted to get these all up for this so that this greenhouse was set and I could finish up the video for you guys. So I'm going to go shelf style in this one, even though I have in-ground bed as you've seen in my other one. So what I might do is move the in-ground beds to the back here, and then in the front have all shelves. Notice also that you guys are probably seeing that I moved my greenhouse from the corner to here. My wife had the lovely idea. This is much level ground, so I'll end up doing the raised beds over on the side. Originally I wanted all my raised beds this way, greenhouse in the corner, but I would have to build a platform to level it out, and so it just makes a lot more sense. Yeah, so at this point the greenhouse, as I mentioned, is pretty much done. Panels are all in, everything's up. It's a usable greenhouse at this point, except for putting some finishing touches on. So finishing touches are like this. Here is the gutter. This gutter in particular has a debris cap, if you will, that is in my hand. Let me tell you what bag number it is. It is bag number 48. So let me show you exactly how that goes on. Let me open it up. So I've got one out here, as you can see. A little bit of sun glare, I apologize. You see this little round part here? Well, that's where the actual water would come out. So you're actually looking to mount this so that the water can actually come out. So just this slots on the back here, little channels that you just clip in to each side, and there you go. Water can flow out, debris gets stopped there. So I just need to put those all around. Now before I do that, and pull that one back off there, there is a piece that goes right here. It's goes kind of over top of to kind of lessen this sharp piece. Let me get that and show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's also this piece that goes here. It's a lot easier if you do this probably before you put on the actual gutter, but that's okay. I've done it like this. I can't really do it one-handed, but you see it has some clips underneath. They just slot right down on top of there on each side, and it kind of gives that guard, if you will, keeps that from you hitting that sharp point. And that is actually from bag number 47. And then we also have bag number 54. And 54 is kind of this rubber triangular piece. Now you can see it's kind of got like just a notch in the middle that actually seats right up here in between. Just slide it in there. It's kind of a rubber piece just to kind of help close that gap, if you will, right? Completely unnecessary, some of these pieces. They're just nice little functionality pieces. Like I said, you've got that one. You've got the gutter guard. Goes on there just like that. Water flows out. Sorry, it's hard to do with one-handed, but keeps that from kind of bending in on itself, as well as keeps the debris in, and you can clean out those gutters from time to time. I'm not putting these on very well, I know that. I'm doing that on purpose because I plan on, you know, doing something with that rain barrel. So, and I also plan on redoing this, but I wanted to show you guys where they go. And then the last finishing touch that I need to do here is this one here. These are the mounting brackets that go, ooh, let's do this on a side that's not full of sunshine. Okay, sorry about that. These are the mounting brackets, bag number 18. They go right here. You use the screws just like you did there. And that is what you're able to put this bar, poke out those holes. They're solid right now, but and that pokes right through there to hold the window open. All right. Now on the window, I don't think I got this in the window shot, so I want to show you guys. You'll notice that there's a lip right here on the window. That actually, this lip right here sits right on this frame here. Okay, so that's how you know they're aligned properly. If you did it properly, this bracket kind of touches that frame just about, right? So the reason for that is if you're having trouble sliding this panel in, it's because this isn't sitting in the right spot. That keeps that so the water actually sheds off the window and all the way down to the gutter. If you were to line it up with just the very bottom of that window, the water, it wouldn't close properly and the water wouldn't shed properly. I apologize if I didn't mention that before. As I stated before, I'm going to be taking this front piece off and expanding mine. But there you have it, guys. You just built the Harbor Freight greenhouse. I believe that's all the pieces. Let me just double check. Okay, so as you can see, we've got all those extra pieces you put on. You put on your last window pieces. One of the last things that you need to do here is, since we left a lot of loose screws to begin with, right, is go through and tighten up all of your screws. Just start at one spot, work your way all the way around the greenhouse and tighten up all of your screws. Make sure they're nice and tight. Make sure your clips are all in properly. There's a diagram on the last page of the book as far as your clips are concerned, so make sure you have all of that. And then if you haven't already, then you want to make sure that you go back through on your bottom plates here, on all of your bottom plates, and actually pop in your screws. I would do 2 extra screws, one in the kind of the middle there, and then one in the middle over here on each of the 4 sides, just to make sure it's tightly secured. So again, come around this side. Do this step probably before your panels, but you want to make sure you got your screws in each of those sides accordingly. That's it, guys. That is the Harbor Freight 8.5 by 6 4 inch greenhouse, so 8 by 6 greenhouse, and that's how you build it. That's how I built both of mine. Like I said, if you guys want to see when I extend this out how I do that, follow along the channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. I hope you guys give this video a thumbs up, and as always, appreciate you watching, and I hope you guys are staying safe and enjoying your gardens.